I'll just ask you some questions.
Okay.
Okay. So if you could just tell me about, if I just sit here and get eye level right. Okay. So you just talk to me.
Okay.
If you could just tell me about what you've done with the college and MKIAC.
Okay, so I did a 1-hour presentation before the workshop, and that was a little bit daunting for me. I think it was 2 classes mixed together, so everybody was very quiet and there were no reactions. And afterwards I said to my wife, my goodness, I said, I've done audiences of 5,000 people before, and that was easier than doing that class of 30 people. So when it came to the workshop, I was a little bit uneased about it, but actually it was absolutely perfect. It was fine. Everybody was very relaxed, and they responded very well. I did a series of masterclasses in the morning, showed them different influences, different photographers who have inspired me, and some short clips of people, portrait artists, portrait photographers and things. So it was just to kind of inspire them and get them thinking slightly differently about taking pictures.
Oh, you're turning it the other way. Okay.
No worries.
You're not on record right now, are you?
Yeah.
You're recording this now?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. It's not like a constant thing.
Okay.
It all up and
Well,
everything,
listen, tell Anwar.
I know, yeah.
A couple of minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Help yourself.
Thank you.
So what did I say? What did I get up to?
That was just.
Oh, talking about the
yeah.
masterclasses. Yeah. So we did the masterclasses just to kind of change some of the ideas about things, and then basically what I usually do after that is that I send them a task, and I set them out to go out on location to shoot something, and I usually give them a theme or something. So this day we decided, because it was Milton Keynes, to do the theme of integration. And it could be it was really to find shots of kind of contrast, so that was the idea. And before they went out, I just said to them, one point, before you photograph somebody, just ask their permission. And I remember the look of horror on some of their faces. And I'm a photographer, I know it's easy to just kind of sit back and observe the world. But actually for great photographs, you need to engage with it. And so I realized this was going to be quite a challenge for some of them. So anyway, when I went out while they were out wandering around Milton Keynes, I was just kind of keeping an eye on everything. And one of the girls came to me and she said, there's this beautiful Sikh man, but I'm sort of shy to ask him. So we went over and spoke to him. I told him she was a student, we're doing this project about integration, and he was fine. So she did some pictures of him. Really, they were like, when I saw the pictures, it was just fantastic. And quite a few of them afterwards said to me that they had quite a kind of landmark experience from actually engaging with people first before they took the picture. And I've always said to my students that a picture that's taken with permission from that person is always 100 times better than one that you just kind of steal from them while they're... I mean, occasionally there's someone's in a kind of very special repose that you don't want to disturb, but generally, I mean, if you're doing portraits of people, it's better to engage with them. So anyway, it was nice for me. I was glad, not often I do workshops, you don't normally see that kind of reaction, quickly. So that was really inspiring, yeah.
What did you think about the students? Do you think that they were learning well from you and interacting with you and taking on board what you were trying to teach them?
I hope so. I mean, it's one can never tell, what things sink in, and sometimes we learn things and we don't incorporate them for years later. But they seemed very responsive, and definitely some of them, the bits of work I saw were really interesting. So I mean, I'm coming interesting to seeing the whole body when it's finished.
And as sorry, As photographers, do you think they're showing some potential?
Definitely, absolutely, definitely. I mean, this is a great thing for me because I meet a lot of young people now who are very passionate about photography, and because of the whole digital thing, it's much more accessible. Whereas in my time, it had its own language. It was kind of a hard thing to break into, you know. But the whole thing about digital, it makes it very accessible, and I think it's easy for people to pick up and even maybe start with an iPhone and then just think, yeah, I really like photography and want to take it further. So.
And how did you get involved with MKIC and that workshop? How did that come about?
It's really from my connection with Anwar, and I mean, every year when his festival comes up, we talk about things that we could do, and I've done exhibitions there, and then we've always talked about doing competitions and, you know, building some kind of interest in photography. So it's really from that, and then Anwar's connections and things, and he put this forward. It was great, yeah.
That's about it. Do you think you're going to do any more work with MKIC?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always I'm always keen to do something. It's such a good thing to be involved in, and I love the way it makes incredible bridges with so many different people, and that's important. You know, I feel strongly about that. People tend to live in their own little isolated groups, and you know, having travelled as much as I do, you just learn so much from meeting people, really, and it's very easy to stay in our own kind of world and not communicate, but we're all on the planet for some reason. So yeah, no, I think it's really, really good, and I'm sure it'll build to bigger and better things. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, he's already thinking of interesting things. So I like him because I throw ideas at him and he picks up on them, which is quite nice. Yeah.
And one more question.
Yeah.
Could you just talk about Fiji and how they sponsored?
Fuji, yeah. Yeah, Anwar's had this connection with the people at Fuji, and I think they sponsored one of the competitions we did before. So, so this really worked. They've been sponsoring the photographic college, you know, and so they have a quite good involvement with them. So, you know, it was really a combination of all our energies, and I think it's good. And you know, I'm now hoping that they might pick up on this national competition that I want to launch in England, to get people, again, young people, thinking about integration and others, and, you know, just to make these bridges, because there seems a lot of negative voices about kind of, you know, against the minorities. They're here, and I mean, if you travel different countries, different minorities, they're like a celebration of the world, you know. If you go to somewhere like China, which I've been quite a few times, they really celebrate all their different minorities, and they're very varied, you know, wherever you go in the country. And so I think, you know, we should be the same. We should celebrate different nationalities. I mean, who's English anyway? I'm English, I'm born, but if you go back a few generations, I'm not. And I think it's the same with a lot of people. I mean, there's probably a few elite people who really can trace there, but the majority of us who live in England, we're not English, as I say, if you go back a few generations. So,
Great.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got more than enough.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Have you been interviewing with students as well?
Yeah.
Oh,
interviewed
good.
people.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's